Welcome to Conversations at the Effie. Here we are at the Effie Arts Collective, situated on the unceded territory of Tecumseh-Secwepemc. I'm your host, Aaron Chviltosky. Today we are talking to the meme creator, YKA Nevin Webster. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So, what brought you to Kamloops?
Yeah, so I'm from Ontario, but I did a college degree in outdoor adventure just because I'm a high school student. I want to have some fun, and I knew I wouldn't have the opportunity if I just didn't do in college. So I went to a program in Pembroke, Ontario that fed into TRU to finalize a degree. So that made my parents happy that I could get a degree, but also allowed me to have some fun while at school. So that was what brought me out here. And then, I met a girl and got a dog and bought a house and had kids. So that's kind of the real quick story.
Are outdoor pursuits still a part of your life?
I'm actually bipolar, and I found that out right at the beginning of the pandemic, and that has radically changed part of who I am and what I think I'm comfortable doing. So I've kind of given up on that, and I'm just waiting for my kids to get to the right age to then figure out where I fall into that. Because I used to be trail running all around this town, and used to be a whitewater kayaker and stuff, and I don't do any of that now. It's kind of sad, but I sold my kayak to put paint on the walls, but yeah, that's a weird answer to say, but yeah, I'm not as comfortable even camping anymore. It's just I got to figure it out, and I don't think I'll be able to figure it out till my kids are a bit older. So,
how does your diagnosis prevent your outdoor pursuits?
I found out I was just forcing myself into a manic state and running extremely long distances. Up hills and down hills, and just I'll go for a 25-kilometer run just by smoking weed and going, right? So I can't do that anymore. I'm slower. My body just feels old, and it's hard to describe to people who are older than me, but from what I used to be 160 pounds. I'm 220 now, right? I don't have the same prowess of sorts. And I know I struggle with that. I can't comfortably go camping because I wake up every 2 hours to go pee because of the meds. So it's just, it's not what I grew up doing, and it's just you have those visions of how it used to be, and it just doesn't match. So I just don't have fun doing it.
Have you always been very supportive of the community you're in? When you were in Ontario, were you very proud of being in Ontario?
I didn't have a love for my town like I have a love for this one. I worked for dry cleaners, and I'd walk through downtown in Cambridge, Ontario, where I'm from. Very similar to Kamloops in some ways, just there's a lot more culture. It's just older. There's beautiful limestone buildings and stuff, right? I don't know. I loved the architecture, and I was in love with that, but I didn't really have a love for the people in the same way that was here, right? Because where I came from, I knew where I could go and play and find cool things and da. Here doesn't have the same infrastructure that where I came from comes. So you end up finding the culture really is the people, not just where you're from.
When did you discover that you loved Kamloops?
It goes back to my bipolar, actually. So I had an inkling I was bipolar. I started this podcast when I was manic one night at 3 a.m, and I just knew that I had to interact with people to stay sane. And I was just using the podcast as this catfish to get people to meet with me so I could talk with them. So I had that connection with people. so that I could be brought down to earth again. And it was through that I fell in love with the people of Kamloops. And it was like, might have been spurred by like, the podcasting craze, but the actual result is 100% like I was one of those white boys who started a podcast rather than going to therapy. That's who I was. And like one of my last podcasts with Natalie, the yoga teacher, was, I'm pretty much just broken down at this point, and I couldn't do it after I got actually diagnosed and stuff. I couldn't bring myself to talk to people because I was still recovering. But you could, like, if you track my podcast, you could probably see the fluctuation of when I was manic and when I would just go on a big depressive hiatus and then crawl back out of it. Just forcing myself to book an interview with someone, I would crawl back out of it and keep on going. So, yeah, it's weird. Like everything for me is tied to media, like digital media, right? Like it's like it's how I process who people are. And people don't seem to understand exactly how I've mixed it, right? It's like that whole idea of you don't know who the person is but their profile picture and their name, and it really is that for me in a lot of sense. So much so I get embarrassed when people know who I am, and I've met them multiple times, but I haven't yet translated who they are elsewhere. But.
You have a very strong online persona. Is that to protect you from the real world? Have you created this persona?
So the persona probably that in people's head that probably like they remember is when I was like undiagnosed and like was just like going in on attacking people sort of deal. It's not exactly who I am when they actually meet me face to face, which I don't know if that was a joke on my part or that's just the way things are. At this point, it's just like I'm trying to not be chronically online in like a manner of being an internet troll like I used to be, and now just trying to like focus on how do I make stuff that's funny, promotes the town, maybe mocks it a little bit just to like make people think like maybe we should improve things a little bit and just try and hold people accountable. But I'm not trying to be the aggressive online person I once was. When I was in recovery, I couldn't get off my couch for a month straight. And I wouldn't have TV on, there would be no music. I would just have a blanket over my head, I wouldn't sleep, I would just lay there for 8 hours every day until I was forced to get up and start trying to make dinner for my wife coming home. So it's partially created, but in my like messed up mental health, I don't know what is made up anymore. I just know who I am now, and how I act now is like who I think I am.
Does it make you doubt that your love for Kamloops when you were discovering it through through illness?
No, it's the reason why I have like the friends that I do is because of internet shenanigans, and that internet shenanigans is Kamloops. Now, Kamloops can be both the city itself, that is the political organization, or it can just be the location. And for me, it's like a location, it's the people, it's what it can become for my children, right? So like underneath some of the underlying of other stuff is like I'm trying to make this place, better for my kids as well, because they're, it's their inheritance or whatever it be, right? So it's like the root beer joke. Let's talk about the root beer joke, because the root beer joke implies perfectly. You don't always you make a meme, and you just know that it's going to hit, that it's going to connect with people. And for me, I use root beer because I saw it bubbling up, and I started comparing some root beers, and it exploded. And I'm known internationally as the root beer guy in certain circles. I don't drink a ton of root beer, but in making the meme and in the joke, it's just good fun, and it takes a life of its own, because it's just theater at that point, right? So like you have to what's the word? You hang out with 5 people you want to become, or you act like the person you want to become. It's the same thing. It's just that online person of myself, right? Like I really dislike people who put down the city. It's like, why are you putting down the city? This is your home. You should rep it. Why do you rep it? Well, you rep it because you want to make it better. You know, to me, it's always about looking to what it could be and stuff, right? Like Cammy the fish, what could Cammy the fish be? It's not just a relic, like some people seem to think it is. To me, it's a symbol of where Cammy could go, right? So that was all over that.
Do you think that you could be, like your memes would be as successful in any other town? Or is it Kamloops that actually embraces these jokes?
I 100% believe that Kamloops has certain factors that make it somewhere that I can be successful in kind of doing what I do and making a name for myself in this town. Because it hasn't really figured out its cultural identity yet. Like it wants to be Kelowna. People look to Vancouver. Everyone hates the East. But like there's all these little factors that but they don't really know who they are yet. Like Kamloops is very much like me at 17, right? Like I know where I want to go, but I don't know how I'm gonna get there, and I don't really know how changed I'm gonna be by the time I'm 30 years old. And for that reason, I think Kamloops embraces what I do because I can kind of just control this little area over here and inject my ideas into it as it tries to figure out who it is. Like the Effie is a beautiful concept because the arts and cultural revolution has not happened in this town yet. There's been attempts and tries, but nothing has ever really concrete said, hey, this is the identity. Everyone knows who Kelowna is at this point. But Kamloops' identity really is not written as well as people like to think it is. And for that reason, it embraces what I do because you can still, impact it.
How much thought goes into a meme? How much of it is science and how much of it is just stumbling?
I would say like 80% of what I post is just gibberish. And that's the stuff that does the best. People don't want the ones that I think about and I really develop and want to say something, and that's fine, right? And that's totally fine. I'm happy with that. Why? Because I want to invite people in, so maybe we can have these other conversations, right? So it just depends on how a meme comes, right? Like sometimes there's a trigger, and I'm just like, I know how to build this. Sometimes I'm just looking at templates and be like, I'm bored, let's make a template. Let's do something. There's just tons of ways to do it. It's just like, how do you want to structure the joke? Who's it for? And in the end, if you don't post it, you never know. Because there was one earlier 2-3 days ago that I wasn't going to post. It did double the numbers of the one I wanted to post. So just post them all.
Do you have an ulterior motive behind your memes? Is there a purpose?
I'm definitely a politically minded person. Absolutely, I'm not going to lie in that regard. But the number one reason I make memes is because I have these thoughts, and these thoughts have to go somewhere. I have to get them out of me. So that's one. And two, I like to start conversations, but also end them at the same time. Like it's this weird puzzle where you're like, let's think about this for a little bit. Let's go down the path that most people are going, and let's shut that down right away with just a dumb little meme, and see if we can make that make sense to people. Because in my mind, what you're talking about doesn't make sense, and maybe a graphic will help people understand. So I do that. And other than that, it's just games in my head, trying to extract them. Yeah.
The Daily Show, people said that The Daily Show is dangerous because people are getting their news and information from The Daily Show, which is just a comedy news farce.
Yeah.
But John, the host, said that it's only, you have to be in the news to understand the news to get the jokes. So it's not your only source. And so your memes and your jokes are very related to current events.
Yes.
And to news happenings. And where do you get your news from to make these jokes?
The jokes that I feel concerned with the tone that people might read, I tried to include like a screenshot of the news article, just to go like, hey guys, like I'm not making this up. This is real. This is reported. I did used to work at Kamloops This Week. I'm not sure if you knew that. I got fired once from them. I worked there twice. I got fired. This was pre-bipolar diagnosis. I read the newspaper if it shows up on my doorstep. I like Radio and L. I mean, Infotel seems to get stuff out really fast that no one else is. I read them all, or at least I skim them all, and I can kind of parse when I need to go deeper in. I very much am a Facebook news reader. I'm banned from Facebook right at the second. So like I'm a little less involved in reading the news. I have to it has to be very active for me to see what's up. But I wouldn't say like I lean one way or another on the news that I read. I try and keep it pretty balanced. I like to think I have a good, strong understanding of media literacy.
What leads you to getting banned on Facebook?
Oh, a variety of things. I mean, in this case, I posted a Bare Naked Ladies, the band picture for a meme that I made that was like in a very small niche group, and that was flagged for nudity because it was the Bare Naked Ladies. So I'm that. So I mean, I get banned. I get 30-day bans like a lot because I was a nuisance at one point. So the littlest thing, they just whatever, and that's fine. That's totally cool. Their house, their rules. I'm over here learning Instagram now and TikTok, or learning something else. That's it's actually a good thing for me, because if I get so focused on Facebook, you get pulled into just these like one-to-one interactions when I could be making memes that could be hitting potentially hundreds of people, right? So
has any of your Kamloops specific memes got worldwide attention? You mentioned the root beer was a way to hit a larger market, but has there been any specific local content hit?
So there's a lot of meme pages that I follow that make city content, and they don't do it the same way as me. They tend to, it's always more broad. And I made this really broad one that ended up on like this Kentucky car Facebook page that got 30,000 shares or something. But I made sure there was a Cammy the Fish toque in it, so it's from me. And it was just the joke. What was the joke? It was a dad joke. It was, hey, how are the roads? Still there. That's it. And it just had these Wajak characters with Cammy the Fish wearing hat, and it's just like, I don't even know how they found it, but I mean, it went huge. My name's not on it. I don't like watermarking too much, but there's a Cammy the Fish toque, so it's me.
Is your audience the same consistently, or do you hit people that are outside of what you would think would be your group?
I have to say, like, the memes I make for Loopser, that is my meme page for Kamloops, Loopser, I focus on Instagram and the audience that I have on Instagram, because I can recognize the names consistently, right? And the reality is, like, I end up making more relationships with them. So now I have like a peer group of like 7 to 10 people that will tell me if it's hit or miss, or I can kind of have some feedback from, right? But I don't think about the audience. I just make it. And the reality is, you can never predict the success of something. Like I've had memes stolen by off pages and put on massive pages to millions of people before, right? And you will never predict that will happen, so you don't put your watermark on it, right? One of my most successful memes ever was a joke about a sleep paralysis. The demon that hangs over you when you sleep. And that came out of a pop punk group I was part of and got kicked out of. But at the time, it was just like, sleep paralysis, demon, asking you if pop punk is, I don't know, I can't even remember. If bananas are punk or something stupid. And you'll see that one all the time. I had no idea it was viral until my friend shared an alteration of it, months later, right? So you share them all, you post them all. You don't think about your audience because your audience will find it in the end, right? And plus, like, you had the thought. Thinking about the thought more than making it is just a waste of time. It's so fast to do. I had a change in the way that I work, so I wasn't allowed to use a laptop all the time. So I had to learn how to use my phone. And you can probably track to when my memes actually started getting really good. It was when I had to start learning how to edit on my phone, because I wasn't using the slow old Photoshop ways that I used to be doing. And then I can bang out even better memes faster, so yeah.
Have you made a difference in Kamloops?
I don't know. I would like to imagine. But I don't want to be that guy and be like, oh, I'm making a difference, right? I just want to think that I am collecting people who think like me, or have jokes like me, or maybe question things about this town like me, and the collecting of those people into kind of one spot has value to me, and that's all I can really say, right? One day maybe something happens and there is value in this. Maybe it all goes away. Who knows? But at least I found people outside of my network, because it is hard to network in a town. It's very hard, right? But now I have people all over town who feel comfortable with me, and I'm comfortable with them, and I think that's great. And that's really all I can ask for.
Do you feel you have community support?
I feel like my pre-diagnosis shenanigans has burned bridges in this town. I'm not going to deny that. For example, I once catfished Katie Neustatter, 100% catfished. Booked a podcast with her and didn't bring my podcast, and just went on a completely psychotic rant to her. And I've since apologized for that. And luckily that bridge is mending now, right? I think there's bridges that will forever be burnt, and the idea that if you aren't making haters, you aren't making a difference comes to mind a little bit. Not that I want to be hated, but I just this is who I am. I'm not holding back, I guess is how I'd put it.
Do you feel very misunderstood sometimes because of your internet workings?
I think it comes in waves of I don't give a, and other times hey guys, this is me. I'm just a dad here who's trying to understand things. Yes, I'm bipolar. Yes, I struggle with alcoholism. This is who I am. And everyone likes to say that they don't care what people think, but they do, and I do, right? So I made a post last night, just a story. And then when I woke up at 2 a.m, I deleted it. So it's just at that time, it no longer represented me, right? And who am I trying to prove in it, right? But yeah, it's you put so much out there of just completely wackadoodle stuff, actually mental health wacky, and then you just put out wacky stuff, and the internet is quite accepting of that stuff in circles that I'm a part of, but I'm just showcasing it to Kamloops a little bit more than maybe I should. And the way that I see it these days is Well, you know what? I'm fairly secure in life at this point. I'm quite stable for the most part. I'm gonna do it because if someone connects with it and they like it, that's fine. I can take the BS that might come with the joke. That's on me. So.
Is there a line anymore between the internet and the real world?
Not really, no. I mean, like, what's the difference putting like a sticker on my car versus, you know, posting about it online, right? You know, I think posting stuff online as like mantras, like I like water slides. I like posting about water slides as a joke on my memes page, because it's kind of a mantra, right? And people really dig it, right? But if you read all these other self-help books, you're supposed to say mantras anyways, right? So if you're posting it online, it's gonna, in theory, manifest. I don't know if I'm using the words right, but it's gonna manifest in real life too, right? So I don't really see there being a blur. I just see I don't see there being a distinction. It is one and the same. It's just like, have you found the right safe space to say something? Right? You have a beautiful stage for a comedy hour. What I can say on the stage might not be appropriate for me to say, you know, down the street, you know? And people who haven't found their spaces to say that stuff might think that they don't fit in or it's not right to say, right? They just haven't, right? So like, I'm for echo chambers, but those echo chambers have to be in the right, like, manner, you know? Like that's why comedy is beautiful, because there's some sort of system that lets the comedian know, are they operating in a okay format. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you see yourself ever leaving Kamloops?
No. I always knew I was going to be out in BC ever since like 4th, 5th grade. My mom's family's from Calgary, so we knew my brother and my sister out here now too. Not in Kamloops, but they're all out west. I can't see me leaving the real estate market that I'm locked into. Like the only crazy way I could see it is if, you know, I mean, I got kicked to the curb, but so even then I have to stick around for my kids. So yeah.
With the election of Reed Hammer Jackson, does that make you think that you could be mayor one day?
I thought about running for mayor in recovery quite a lot. And someone always suggested, like, go city councilor first, learn the ropes, and move on. I think running for mayor would be interesting. I think Reed Hammer Jackson and I have more similarities than dissimilarities in that we don't know how to operate in a professional capacity. So like if I wanted to get serious, I would have to really get serious. Someone walked me through what an election campaign would take and cost and like how many doors you'd have to knock on. Like, no, I'm not doing any of that. Like that is inefficient. No, but that's just the way it works. I mean, yeah, it's something I could see myself considering, but I mean, I got a lot of growing till then. So I did just buy a true market sales and auto market vintage hat last night. Got drunk and bought that online, and it's getting shipped to me from PG.
Do you have enough yet to have a Kamloops memorabilia store?
That I know it, like I rep, like it looks like everything I want in terms of Kamloops memorabilia, I want to be able to use, right? Like I don't want to just like sit it on a thing, right? So like I got this bolo tie thanks to Robin at Drunk in a Graveyard. I found this on Facebook Marketplace, so I had to sew it onto like a vest I bought at a thrift store, right? This is from Crooked Crown. I actually bought that one straight though. I just want it to be stuff that I can wear and use. Like I have no interest in like just having a little like museum collection, you know. So, and I want to make my own too. I don't know what it's going to be yet. It's probably going to be patches, like, you know, pant patches and stuff like that, screen printed in my basement.
I want to thank you, Evan, for coming by today. You have great thoughts and great enthusiasm for Kamloops. And
They're forcing you to say that.
it's wonderful to see you, wonderful to meet you.
Yes, thanks for having me. I appreciate the root beer. It's very tasty.
And thank you for joining us at Conversations, and we'll see you next time.